Stocks are up on, you guessed it, a nice trade tweet coming from President Trump. And we do have a deadline coming up on December 15th to see if we will inflict tariffs on that. Let's talk to Matt Cheslock, take a look at the broader market today, and maybe get into some individual stocks. How do you think about that?
That'd be great. Something to actually trade on. These trade talks, these tweets, they obviously move the markets when you see a 1% move. I had a guest down here. We were talking about what the markets look like, how they're setting up, and the market rocketed about 200 Dow points. And he said, "What's going on?" And I didn't even look, and I said, "Probably a Trump tweet." And that's what it is right now.
Well, I have a theory.
Okay.
My theory is he's accidentally tweeting his drafts.
I don't know Twitter well enough. I'm just a reader of it, but it certainly could be the case. But in this case, he used a bunch of capital letters for words. So that'd be tough to tweet that from a draft pile. So it has to be probably something new. So I'm going to contradict you.
All right, so in 2020, we need to make sure that Matt Cheslock is more active on Twitter because we do have our followers asking about you. So let's take a look at some individual stocks. We had a big anticipation for Lululemon. Stock is down intraday. What do you think about Lululemon stock?
Yeah, you look yesterday, it was up big on anticipation, as you mentioned. The stock's up 90% this year, right? So tremendous run. They had a blowout third quarter. They kind of tempered it down a little bit in the fourth quarter, but that's the time to do it when your stock's up 90%. You temper expectations, you get a little bit of a pullback, and then you can exceed those expectations. So if that's the plan, it's not that bad of an idea. It's much better than when the stock is down 90% and you're starting to temper expectations. So, all in all, I think Lululemon's in a good spot. It's done tremendously well overseas, and that's their biggest growth area.
Yeah, it really is. Now, talking about overseas, we see iPhone sales in November was down to China. Now, is that worse news for Apple or for China?
Well, listen, you come to expect it with all that's going on. Apple's going to be one of the biggest ones affected by the 15% tariff taking place December 15th. If the iPhone sales are down 35% in November, what does that mean? That means people may be waiting till something gets done. So they may just be holding off, and maybe you see a spike in that next quarter or next month if this deal gets done. So Apple's going to figure out a way to do it. If not, they can withstand it. They have some pain threshold built in the bank. So I'm not going to worry about that for Apple right now.
Yeah, maybe some innovation coming with their next update. But hey, there was a really interesting, consumer survey that came out about Boeing. 50% of consumers would rather switch their plane if they knew it was a 737. Stock has really done nothing.
Really, that's all about social media distortion, right? And that's 50% of people. If you didn't tell them, they wouldn't switch. They would get on the plane and they would take it to wherever they go. So, obviously they had some issues. There obviously is something that is being brought up to the House and Congress right now that's being discussed. Is it misinformation? Is it disinformation? That's concerning. However, I don't think most people would know the difference between a 737 MAX and any other plane out there.
Yeah, I thought a really interesting question that they first asked everyone was, have you flown a 737 or flown in a 737 MAX in the past 6 months? And people who said yes, they immediately ditched because they obviously didn't know what they were talking about.
Yeah, I would have no idea what kind of plane it is. I don't really care as long as it gets me from point A to point B. I hope that there's security measures put into place. I hope there are safety measures put into place. There are accidents. You think about how many flights there are daily, weekly, monthly. It's a tremendous amount. So the fact that there are a couple, but if it's due to negligence, that's not good at all.
Absolutely. Well, they are investigating that right now, Matt. So thanks for taking us from point A to point B to point Z, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. That's Matt Cheslock from Virtu Financial here at the New York Stock Exchange.